must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone?
What's up?
It is Saturday night. Woo! My name is Frank Castle, and I'm your Sorcerer Supreme right here on Truth Frequency Radio. And this is my show, Fearless. And to my right, my etherical translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
And in the etheric digital background, tuning in to help us take charge of the evening, Josh Carothers has decided to join us, Fearless family member.
That's what it sounds like in the ether.
I just want to shout out the chat room, folks. We love you.
Before we start the show, big shout outs to everybody. Shout outs to Chris and Cherie. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here doing this. And it's another beautiful year. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
For building this wonderful platform so the families could come together and resurface and rise through the ether, through the void. Step forth. Claim your birthright. It's us. Jew. How you doing?
Saturday night.
Welcome to the now.
Yeah.
How you been, my brother?
We got to make Fearless coin, maybe.
Fearless crypto?
Fearless coin. Yeah, totally. Everybody that's involved gets a credit, and then we start a whole crypto community based on the whole Fearless community.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. We're working on a silver piece, though. We're trying to get one going.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what's rad is anybody can make a coin using the BitShares platform. Frank, we need to talk about that next time we hang out.
You know, I never thought that I would get deep into the crypto thing. I denied it for years. I'm so worried about the AI takeover and, the manipulation of the markets to have the one world government and all that. And nobody's considering that there could be the other 50% that's a good guys, let's say, right? That could be helping with the situation instead of trying to dominate us constantly. There's people that don't want to be dominated that are still out there in these programs, and they're trying to, fight the power just like we do.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing too. So let's just get to where we're at in our own consciousness or how we perceive reality. The takeover already happened a long time ago. So the idea is the crypto thing is like, all right, let's level the playing field where if it's open source, then there's no need for a third party. It's like you have to be honest or there's no contract.
I agree. That also their time is up, right? And I've said this for a long time. The AI takes the field. It doesn't matter who anyone is, right? So let's say AI was trying to clear the field of the whole mess and redistribute the wealth, right? So it could be brought onto the playing field properly.
But you can't redistribute wealth if people don't change the way they think about money, because you can give everyone an equal amount of money. And in a month, the people that didn't have money before will still not have money. It's the way you look at money.
Totally.
The way you feel about it, the way you respect it.
Well, I totally agree with you, Paula. And I think I like the idea that money is just energy and it's how you use it. and it's been, let's say, the energy or the power. And we know it's like nobody really needs money. We know there's free energy. We know there's all that stuff. Tesla figured this out 100 years ago or whatever. But until we actually become honest with the technologies that are going on or the level of consciousness that can be attained, maybe this is the first leveling of the playing field where people that are actually good-hearted might make a lot of money and start being people that support people that want to do good things. You know, like I've always wondered about stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is the blockchain. My cat's crying. The idea of the blockchain seems like the first time where people could be like, all right, now we can actually do stuff on an honest way and help people make money in a way that is beneficial to everyone, and not you have to do this or jump through this hoop, or you don't know what I'm doing behind the scenes because I'm the only one who controls the machine. It's
right.
Really, really exciting, you know.
Well, become your own bank, become your own shaman. This is what it's all about now, right?
Right. It's like let's say it's like a monetary sovereignty in the sense that, since here's the double-edged sword is you can be your own bank, right? But the flip side of that is that you fully got to claim responsibility, and that can be a little intense for people because it's like, well, it's easier if I can blame somebody else if something messes up. But if I have to be the one that has to carry all my own codes or whatever, and it messes up, then actually I have to take responsibility for my own being, right?
Yep.
But I think what most people don't realize is, like, dude, at any time the bank can just stop. Like, I don't know if people are aware of what happened in Argentina, but they just turned off people's accounts.
Yeah, but that's like saying to have
know?
that third party interference is like saying, you know, it's energy exchange. So you're just you're adding interference into it, right? Like you're just saying the banks could take it and just close down. And that's
exactly.
it.
Like, let's say this. Let's say you want to talk to Frank, we talk about this all the time. We talk about the all, or just so we don't have a compartmentalized term for creator in its unbound sense, which is really us. We're all the source, right? So from this idea, it's like, all right, so if we compartmentalize all this into these degrees, well, this blockchain thing's kind of helping us level back the playing field, that everybody's a part of the same thing, and there's no hierarchy in it. It's open. And now we can actually start operating as if we were having honest trade.
You take responsibility for your energy. You take responsibility for your money, right? Because your money is your energy.
Right, exactly. And it's what you do with it here. And like, I mean, of course, we know there's been a lot of manipulation through the eons, and from whatever you can call it, from whatever aliens to the Sumerians to the Knights Templar, so whatever, you know, whoever did the money system and whoever started using it negatively. But now it's almost like this thing goes, okay, so we have this money system, but now it almost is going to pull us into, to me, it's caught up with, we were talking about this before, the consciousness, how it can recall itself instantaneously anywhere around the world, peer-to-peer. So you have this holographic nature that's starting to flower itself through the crypto idea. So you're even seeing this metaphorically, the fifth dimension or the new age, where you realize you're the one you've been looking for, and all those metaphors that sound good and pretty. The crypto thing actually kind of puts that in a scientific boots on the ground kind of way, right? Like all of a sudden, so Frank and I, we're on the phone. In a sense, we're kind of, you could say the blockchain would be like this, like where you and I are exchanging energy and we're on a radio show and people are hearing it and we're all a part of the whole thing. Well, from the other angle, this is exactly how the crypto works. It's no different than me going, hey, Frank, I need to do this and you need me to do this. Let's set up a contract. So as soon as that happens, we're paid instantaneous, like how we're talking on the phone. As soon as you get the message, I get the message. As soon as you get the receiver, you know, as soon as you receive, I receive. As soon as you get, I get. All done. It's like
one of the things you had said. We talked about this. Bjork is doing, you know, the coin thing as well.
Yeah, like
right? So you get
coin,
paid
right?
as you buy her music. She gets it. She gets the money. It doesn't go through
a third party. It goes
the
directly
third party
from you.
So if you were at, let's say, a concert and an event, and you're the guy on stage and you're singing, and people are you're collecting Bitcoin for your T-shirts. As you're on stage, your phone should just be going off.
Right. Yeah, you're not
bing, 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 bing.
Well, and that's, to me,
and that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the biggest game changer. It's like people don't, I think, Now, most people are intelligent enough to know that, like, if you do a wire transfer, like, worldwide, let's say if, like, say, hypothetically, Frank's in Japan and Josh is here in New York, and I needed to send you fiat currency through the bank, then that could take a few weeks, and a bunch of people are going to be pinching off that. Now, that could also get lost in translation and just lost in general, and then we could be like, oh, sorry, we don't know. We don't know why it's not there for 2 months. Oh, here, it finally showed up, whatever. With the crypto world, it's like none of that occurs because now everything is confirmed pretty much within a few minutes. I mean, it's right away. Like, it's instantaneous. It might take an hour to fully confirm it by a couple things, but usually as soon as the thing occurs, there's a witness that happens within 8 seconds. And then it takes a while for the process to occur, depending on which coin you're using, Bitcoin or whatever the fast ones. But now that just levels the playing field with everything that we're doing as a species. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of business or art you're into. Now, if, let's say, Frank and I, because I've got a studio here and I can go record drums. You have a microphone at your house and you can record your voice. So, this is how the blockchain is working with exchange monetarily, and that changes the game for everything because now we're not waiting for anything anymore. Like, I don't have to wait. You just send me the email. It's like you emailing me money. And I'm the boss,
and there's no middleman. It's like PayPal, but without the middleman. I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to perform a service for you, and you're going to pay me with cryptocurrency.
Just get ready for not even just the payment of the cryptocurrency, the technology behind the cryptocurrency is, Josh, as you're speaking to me, a blockchain is opening around me, right? And it says, this is the message I get. You guys are talking about recording separate things in separate places at separate times, right? Well, what happens if you can open the blockchain technology and have the entire band in separate locations all hooked in to that specific technology and play live after you're in the studio together and then record that way?
Right. And so here's just to expand on that. That used to be a thing where people would dial in and you would be able to kind of practice with each other in different studios, but there was always this latency problem. With the blockchain, it's a whole different kind of thing. You could actually set up to nullify latency if all the nodes are firing at the same time. And if for people aren't technical, a node is just like a connection point. So
think about a virtual connection where I could actually see you in live time in the room with me on a screen, a wraparound screen, and see the rest of the band in their spots performing, and we're all just staring at each other performing, but there's really just a screen and a microphone or a guitar and a screen, and the computer.
Well, it's similar to kind of like what we're doing here on Skype, except it looks holographically like we're actually in the same space, which was now we'll get into kind of what reality is doing anyway, which you and I talk about this all the time. Nobody's really anywhere. We're all really in the same spot.
That's right. That's one of my favorite things to blow people's
because
mind.
It's always now.
Yeah, they'll do that too. But you're in the machine sitting there.
Right, and there's nowhere else to be but here or where you're at. So
you're just in one spot.
So there's this idea of us compartmentalizing our consciousness off to I perceive Paula and Frank are in the Bronx. I perceive Josh is in Brooklyn, whatever, and whoever is listening is in California. And yes, that's all true because that's definitely happening too. Because we can't go either or; it's both. Because creation is polarized and
it's all.
You got to go middleman, which is the neutral guy or the neutral being that sees both sides. So once again, it's cool that we're starting off this show with the idea of the blockchain because it's like finally, as many people think this is some alien thing, it's actually extremely simple. And it's the first time that we have the technology mirroring actually how consciousness functions in general. Consciousness is a protocol that can recall itself instantaneously anywhere at any time. It's ubiquitous. So it's like, whoa, something just happened where they created the idea of the monetary system or that sense of exchange through the idea of consciousness operating from a simultaneous multidimensional angle. It's very fascinating.
From a higher fifth dimensional plane.
Exactly. It's like, here's the fifth dimension where you can put yourself anywhere in time and you're not bound to the future or the past. You're neutral.
So being trapped in the loop, right? And then being in the spiral, are two different things. Being in the loop, you're just stuck in a loop. You could draw a circle on a piece of paper, but the minute it turns into a spiral, you're working in 5D. You're working in ultra dimensional, constructs.
You might not even realize it.
Yeah, you're rising through densities and moving through different platforms and doing different things, and you don't even know what's going on. But if you're trapped in a loop, you're just like a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah, totally. Well, and but so my buddy and I, we would have a term when we were talking about what we call going around, and that was like, okay, so let's just talk about the polarity or the paradoxical nature of the spiritual journey, right? Where even to coming to ayahuasca or mushrooms or whatever the thing is that woke you back up to make you remember that you were the person doing it and you had that epiphany in the mirror. I'm just trying to be really simple about it. But from that angle, like a buddy and I would be like, okay, so no matter what's going on, you will continue to do the hamster wheel or the loop until you can see that you're on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But Frank, what you said specifically, when you're spiraling, that's a whole different thing because you're actually learning, seeing what you're doing, learning from that perspective, moving up or down, which is totally it's not good or bad. It's whichever direction you wish to push the energy, right? Because you can row your boat up, or you can row your boat down. It doesn't really matter. But when you're doing that, if you're aware of that, then you actually know that you're in charge of creating the trip. If not, you're just stuck on the loop. You know what I mean?
Are you driving the vehicle, or are you just sitting back letting the autopilot take it, and then anything could be driving it?
Right, and fuck, dude, excuse me. Most of the time, I think that, like, you will find yourself doing that anyway. Like, where you're not questioning the subconscious programs that are running. You're just like, oh, I'm just doing this. And you're like, well, you could just be doing that, or...
You're programmed.
Right, or you could be questioning why you're doing that. Like most people, and including myself, you go through phases of being like, you're running through emotions. Then at one point you stop and go, why am I saying that's true? Why do I believe that?
Why do I believe it's true? Mm-hmm.
Right, like most, like I don't it took me a while to get to that point. Like, why am I believing this at all?
Well, that's what happened in Catholic school. I was being told all these things, but what I was feeling was something completely different.
Well, and then when you questioned it, you were yelled at for even asking questions.
You get Sister Mary Angelid.
Yeah. They don't. If you can figure it out without having a go-between, then that's bad for business.
Oh yeah, right. Because we have to have a piece of even your uplifting.
You must tithe, my brother. Come on.
Well, to bring it together, right? So cryptos are going to, I say this to people because I don't want to sound like we're just pushing cryptos on people, but we're artists, both of us. And Paul, you are as well. All right. So where we had the ability to do all right. I don't know how many people out there do music, right? You go to work every day and then have to be in your band. Okay. Right. That sentence alone should be putting so much pressure on you that you're like, oh, I can't even think about this. I have 2 kids and a dog. I got to walk the dog, and the wife's yelling and this and that and everything. I got to get to work. There's never enough time, right? Well, a small investment into this, when I say you could walk into the future, will allow the artist, let's say in 2-3 years, to be able to just stay and develop their artistic creations, which is stepping into the future, doing what you love, finding the thing that can drive you into the next stage of whatever it is you're doing, while at the same time somebody says to you, well, what do you do for work? You could say, well, I just stare at my screen and watch the numbers go up. Right? So that's kind of where, all right, like, in other words, I can't get anything done with my creativity when I have to worry about where my next dollar is coming from, right? And then when the music industry is just taking people and doing all kinds of crazy things with them, it's because you're like, well, I don't have time to do any of that stuff because I have to work, right? So now I got to go with them and put it into them so they can take me on this trip. Josh, what are you having?
Are you making a drink, Josh?
I'm just drinking ice water.
Oh, okay. Well, now everybody knows.
Did you bring it up to everyone?
Everybody should definitely hydrate themselves at all times because the human avatar needs fluid or it doesn't function properly.
So what this
hey,
all
Josh,
does?
what are you drinking? Hey, Frank, what are you smoking? You're like, freedom, dude. Sounds like freedom.
I like freedom.
You like that? I'm participating in freedom acts of freedom.
Well, okay.
All right. So we get to walk into the future, right? Doing what we love to do. That was my point. So we can take hold of our lives without going, I have to get on the crazy train again. Right? Like I was explaining this to my brother. You go out you have 7 more years to your retirement. And you might stay on the job because the money starts getting really good. But then you're working every day still, and you're still not with your family. Now your kids are ready to go to college, right? So you're like, I have to work now. Now everybody's got to go to college. And I'm like, you can just throw $1,000 in each kid's account, right? Now I said this a year ago. So that's where, people today, $1,000. I'll tell you what, if Bitcoin goes up to an exorbitant amount of money or whatever value, that $1,000 will triple, quadruple, and it just continuously expand. But a year ago, in that one specific crypto, Bitcoin, if you put $1,000 into it for each kid, they will have in 7 years a ridiculous amount of money when they're about to go and do the biggest things they're about to do in their life. That puts a strain on everybody's life.
Right.
It puts a strain. It just want to choke that strain out thinking about it.
Well, and here's, and Frank, this is what I think most people, like for me, it took me a while to realize this. And then when I did, and the reason I keep saying most people is because I was part of those most people. Because if you have no idea how it works or how it could actually accrue value and hold it, that's a whole different thing. Where people
all right. Well, I want to explain something because they're in the chat room. Check it out. So I put $1,000 into Bitcoin when it was $1,000, and Bitcoin is what, 14,000 right now.
It's like 14,300, right?
So
it's 14,300, right? So,
we've talked about this on the show a bunch of times. Paula has needed medical procedure immediately, needed money, boom, dropped it into crypto, tripled her money, pulled the original money out that she needed for it, so she can cover it,
right? Because
then she'd be broke if she just used all that money. Because we all know that. Like $600, $700 is a lot of money for just about everyone.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So that hits you 1 month, and now you're like, oh, I got to wait till next month before I could catch up. We can't live like that anymore.
No, not with the state of inflation. No. I mean, come on.
You put a little bit of money into cryptocurrencies and you leave it, you forget about it. Or if you have the money to play, then play with it. But put a little bit of money into cryptos and just forget about it. And you'll have an added saving. It's a larger return than what you're going to get on your 401k or your IRA.
And here's the simple thing, too, so most people know. And I think we all started like this. And Paula and Frank, I think you can vouch for me. Like, most of the time, people will start with the 3. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And we know those are the 3 major players that have been around. And Ethereum, why that's awesome is because it's based on the Ethereum is the technology that's making all these like recordable ledgers possible, so people can transact without having somebody tell them to do it, and they can just do it themselves. So what's cool about those technologies is like, all right, so you have those first 3, but this is going to be how the world works in, like, I don't know, it could be a year or 2. Like, literally.
It's coming.
I mean, I'm blown away that people aren't just doing this now because now it seems like we're in caveman land, that we're not operating off the blockchain. Once I figured out how it worked, I'm like, why are we not doing this now for everything on the planet? Like, as soon as people realize, like, the benefit of that, forget the money, the tech, and how that connects everybody to each other simultaneously, ubiquitously, how consciousness works. And you can do anything that way.
There's a reason why this is on the show. And I think the 3 of us, the 3 of us here can agree that, look, we know it's crypto, it's currency, it's this, it's that, whatever. You want to be fearless. You want to take part of that journey. You want to have sky's the limit. You need to have a step ahead of the future. You need to future-proof yourself, right? And it's the Wild West right now. Why wouldn't you? You're going to let your pride punch you in the gut over $100, and you'll buy $100 in liquor.
Right. But exactly. You heard me pouring a drink. And so I want to bring up this point exactly before we go to a commercial. So I've got a couple people that my wife and I, we all actually there's about 6, you and Paula, Frank, and then there's like 3 or 4 other people that I'm really good buddies with. And we talk, we share information. And I said at one point, because, a lot of people are looking for really short investments to grow really big. So what's worth half a cent that could go to like $5, and it cost me $100 to get 10,000 of them, but it went to $3. Now I got 30 grand in a month.
The grid, listen, and you're right. People are screaming. What if the grid goes down? If the grid goes down,
everything goes down.
Everything goes down. If it's got to be the planetary grid, though. If you have your stuff on your nano ledger and the grid goes down here, and let's say you go to Africa and you're like, I'm gonna stay in here. You plug in your ledger over there, and your Bitcoin's there.
Right.
The entire grid, the world would have to go out. So that's the way it works.
What are you going to do with silver? Because you're going to need a gun, and then you're going to need food, and you're going to need water anyway. So what's the big deal? You're hedging your bet.
But also
money.
But my main point was this, like back to the liquor analogy. So like, all right, so I'm having a drink. Big deal. I'm like, but sometimes I'll do this. Like when I see a coin that I think's or a technology, because a lot of these coins are basically companies that are like, we do this and we're a company that will do this. So it's not just about currency. It's about actually companies doing things to make things more efficient. And so a lot of times with my wife and I'll look at her and be like, look, let's put $50 on this. And she'll be like, $50? And I'm like, we drank $50 last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the point.
Exactly.
I spent $50 just going out for a little while, and that didn't even start my evening.
And it could have made me $2,000.
We're your protection from deception, and we're your future protection from your future deception, too. So get it straight. Oh! We're not playing. Dude, Paul, do you look like you're playing?
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Am I a weak or is this a dream? It's a dream. A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
What is up, everybody? We are back. If you're looking at the music you hear tonight, HEIST, CRICK, that's Heist. Click. We're having trouble connecting to Josh. He fell off during halftime there. But I want to thank everybody that's been sticking with us and sticking through the journey. We're going to jump off the crypto thing because I got some interesting stories I want to talk about because we had some interesting things going on, huh? Yes.
Oh, yes, we did. I'm sorry. I was waiting for Josh to chime in, but
no, he's not there.
I know.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, you there?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
okay.
I'm back. Sorry.
All right, good. We're live. All right,
Sweet.
cool. We got you back, brother. All right, so
Frank said he's going to drop off the cryptocurrency topic for a minute.
I want them to take a breath because we'll just beat it into their heads like that. But we'll do. Josh, stick around afterwards. We'll do a little something for the YouTube listeners. Cool. And we'll go a little crypto crazy. We're slightly obsessed with the topic, I think, because it's working. It's working. All right. Yeah. Every single one of us, I'm sorry, I was going to drop it, but I'm not dropping this. Every single one of us was in a desperate, dire situation. I mean, so desperate and dire that we'd be like, we'd hear your stories and go, yeah, I get it. And you're like, no, you don't understand. And I'm like, no, I do understand.
No, I think I came up to your house and I was like, I'm going to punch the all in the face. And you're like, oh, you're going to punch yourself in the face? I was like, shut up, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But
man.
That's what happens. You feel when you feel pressed, it's just another place to go to get some money.
Right. And it's just something that could help save
humanity.
Yeah. It's going to pull us out of the darkest corners of the
Help me.
Goo.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But no, speaking about energy exchange, this is what I wanted to get
this
into.
ties in nicely.
Yeah,
energy exchange.
No, because that's exactly what it is. That's
Spirits
part of the
rule.
So Frank and I had a really neat energy exchange today.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
one
sweet.
of the things I want to explain to people, because I was kind of hyped up from many different directions about energy exchanges, right? Because I don't really think people understand. It's like I was going to say this: money is energy, right?
Yep.
Time is energy. Movement.
All is energy.
Yeah. Any kind of intent focused on you and getting something done, like, oh, you go to a place for the birthday cake. Right? You put the intent in that they're going to come up clean with the birthday cake. They go to work every day. They're like, we're going to build the best birthday cakes we can. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
when you don't. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, first of all, I wrote a new song. Well, it's on the last record I made called Level None. And the first line says, energy exchanges and every breath comes back to me. So it's like, yeah, like you breathing. Just in general, there's a reciprocity with everything that occurs, you know?
Oh, and absolutely, just a handshake.
All right, the trees get and
you
get filtered the air, and then it spits it back, so you can breathe. And everyone's doing this energy exchange of breathing back and forth in this harmony.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of things I'm noticing these days that people. I want to call it respect, but I can't run around doing that anymore. As an Italian male, and I go, yo, people have no respect and no respect. No respect. Right?
Come on.
I don't think it's not a respect thing. I think it's an education thing, and I'm not sure like you can teach somebody this. I thought by showing people this is how you're supposed to be, they take it for granted and still don't pay it forward. When you're that person, and I'm going to explain, an office full of people, we all order lunch. 5 lunches come in, and you hand the delivery boy $5 for a tip, and 5 orders just came in, there's a problem. Okay?
Right.
When people go like, well, you only tip this much. I go, listen, you're not in the street. It's pouring rain. The guy's on a moped carrying 6 packages other than yours.
For 6 other
it comes
houses, yeah.
warm. It comes excellent, right? It comes in the styrofoam. It's still piping hot, fresh, nothing spilled. Everything's there. You didn't have to do anything. Right. And this guy, you see him at the door, there's 6 feet of snow, and he's like, oh, hello. And you give him $1. That is not proper energy exchange. All right. So someone
I agree. I
does you
used
a
to be a
favor.
bike messenger, man. Totally.
Right. Okay. So you get it. Right. So somebody does you a favor and you don't hug, handshake, thank you. Right now, I got in trouble for a thank you thing. Like, oh, nobody gave me a thank you. And it's like, well, what are you helping people for then if you are expecting the thank you? And I didn't want to get into no one and say, well, you don't understand the full situation, because it's honestly nobody's business. Right. But I understood that I was barking about respect again, and I was just changing the name. And I'm like, once again, we're caught in this trap where people that are refusing a good exchange of energy, favors done. I moved your furniture. I got your back. I came and picked you up late. You know, people take those people for granted, right? And don't evenly exchange, and then want to know why bad or garbage things happens to them in the next stage of whatever they're trying to launch into. And they're like, oh, I thought it was going to work. It just didn't work. Well, you keep not paying it forward.
Right.
Right. So there has to be these even amount of exchanges with energy, and money is energy. Okay.
Yeah,
you have to start treating it properly, because when you treat it like garbage, you're treating energy exchange like garbage. You're never going to have it if you think you're never good enough for it. And if you're pushing off the wrong tones, it's never going to get you anywhere. And then the things that you buy with it are never going to really be what you thought you needed to begin with.
No, you're not going to be happy with them, because if you feel guilty when you're buying something, you know you shouldn't be buying it. So now you purchase that item, and then you purchase the guilt that goes along with it.
Yeah, or you just feel like you're buying something because you think that's what you're supposed to do to be part of the thing, and
you're not even really,
you're not even really, yeah, you're not even really into it. So it's like, where are you giving your energy? You know?
Now let's keep it simpler, because I want to break it down a little bit more. I invite you over for dinner. Now I'm not expecting anything. I invited you for dinner, right? And you came over. Josh, what do you always? Well, I don't want you to say this, but like you come over, you always bring
goodies,
a bottle of wine or something.
Josh brings goodies.
Oh yeah, whatever it takes to make us feel stoked. Frank, let's say I bring fine chocolates from nature.
Well, then that's just a bonus if that's what we like. But you don't have to go there with it. I'm just saying, even energy exchange. Right now, we're all at the house. All right, we're having something to eat. All right, and then someone's always there, and they never, ever, ever get up out of the chair. They never ask if they can help. They could clean up, if they can make things a little easier. Maybe they smoke too much and smoke your stuff, maybe drinking the drinks, and no thank yous ever is not a good energy exchange.
No.
Okay?
Right.
Just like not making a good energy exchange, my mother in the supermarket. Once she realized everybody in there was really angry.
Low energy.
She was like, we have to get out of here. I said, now you finally see it. The energy exchange is horrible. Why are you saying that, Frank? Well, because Frank wanted a banana. My mother wanted carrots. The people putting all that stuff out were angry. And I'm like, I don't want that banana. That banana is filled with that person's garbage.
Energy.
Not one person's.
But that's what I mean by even
the lighting's bad.
Even a handshake. You can shake someone's hand, and you're exchanging your energies, whether you realize it or not.
And if you're shining bright, you're picking up whoever's stuff that you're shaking hands with. If they feel like jumping ship, oh look, there's a bright light I can eat off of. You better be prepared for that because it's an energy exchange.
Yeah. Okay, so this is something I was thinking about specifically last night because I was getting a sandwich made for me at a deli really late. And the guy was kind of upset. And at one point, I didn't know if he had started toasting the bread or whatever. And I was like, hey, you know what? Actually, I'm okay. I can do this. He was like, oh, I already started doing that. I go, oh, okay, no problem. But I kept going back into my head of the story I heard about there was kind of a commune of people or a small sect of people that were living together, and they had a guru that would oversee people cooking in the kitchen, and if anybody was angry in the kitchen, he would make them leave. He was like, you don't understand. You're putting that energy into the food, and then people are consuming that. So you're actually spreading the anger.
I agree with you 100%, Josh, because I say to Frank, if Frank and I are arguing or something, I don't cook because I spoil the food. You do. Right. You put your intention in the food, whether you realize it or not. Now, people, believe this or not, but you put your intentions in the food.
I'm not allowed to brew Aya.
No, because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You've done it several times.
Devastatingly horrible.
And you had to start all over again.
And it's not a process you want to start from scratch with once you're into the 20-hour process.
No, but that's intention. It's put.
Right, you have to learn that stuff.
It's exchanged everywhere constantly. We don't have a choice about it.
Well, I mean, I even noticed this when I'm okay. So last night, I wrote a song in about maybe 20 minutes. I mean, done, totally structured. There's probably like 6 or 7 parts, a couple different time signatures. It goes through some cool little blah blah blah. But I didn't even think about it. It just boom. I had a bunch of drums that I had written for another song, and a buddy and I sometimes will intentionally be like, write another song over these drums. Nobody will know. And so I got stoked, and I kept hearing tones in my head, and I was like, oh, just write it over this thing. And it sounds nothing like the other song we wrote it over, but like I wrote all the pieces for the song and arranged it and whatever. And I was stoked, and it was done. But when I'm really trying or frustrated that the riff's not coming out right, or I'm not getting the right feeling, oh man, it just doesn't happen. It's the same, I think, with like making the food or whatever, like to bring it back to what we're talking about. It goes across the board with anything you're involved with.
We used to scream when our old place, we were allowed to smoke, and it was a box. There was no
no ventilation.
There was nothing. It was just a box, right? You remember Richard?
Everybody just getting rad. You're like, dude.
And you're not allowed to get drunk and start going like, I messed up, and screaming, cursing your brains out.
Right.
We had a policy because that's what happened at first, and it really made everyone had a bad vibe. Right. So we stopped doing that. We started turning around and going, if you make a mistake, just laugh at yourself. So once we all started laughing at shit, then that's when the mood lightened, and everyone in their most craziest things, it turned into always a great time. So that's how we used to do it inside the studio, and it would keep the place almost immaculate. People would come in and go, wow, it's great in here. I want to be in here.
Right.
Instead of throwing around that temper, because that would just hold inside the box. It's like when you scream in your car, you get the windows rolled up.
Yeah.
And you're smoking a cigarette, you're not getting any air.
Yeah.
And you're like, I hate everyone. Right? That's sitting in the car with you. You know that. That's why the day gets worse.
Well, I always think about how exhausted I'll feel sometimes if I'm holding on to anger for a long time. And then I stop. I literally will feel wow, that was so intense. Now I don't want to do anything for a couple hours. I feel like I've hurt myself. Oh, hey, okay, so I want to totally jump subjects here real quick. I want to talk about it. I don't know how many people are going to be aware of this kind of information, but it's something I'm always curious about, and we kind of talk about here and there, Frank. But let's talk about the flash that's been talked about coming off the sun to alter consciousness on the planet.
I was going to mention that earlier for some reason.
All right, well, good. Then we haven't even hung out for a couple weeks, but we haven't talked about this for a while. But this is, for me, I'm always curious. When I started questioning what's really going on, and this is since I was been young, but later over the last 10 years, like, whoa, what's going on here? Why am I into this ascension thing? Why do I believe this at all? How come I'm having these experiences with things showing up in my dreams and telling me information that happens 3 days later in the future? And what's going on? I'm being shattered paradoxically, paradigm wise, blah, blah, blah. Now, we know that the sun sends us information all the time. And we know that you are a logoi of the logos. And these are just, when I say these words, these are just basically compartmentalizations of light, right? So like you could call the all light the big all, and you could call logos like these fractalizations of the all suns, and you can call the son of the sun humans because we carry these little suns inside of us, and we're talking about fractals now, right? So there's this idea, and you've heard about this, and we've heard about this for a while from different sources about this cosmic flash, right, coming off the sun to change. I don't know what this is going to actually do. Whether this is now, I've had a couple dreams about this. I don't know if we talked about this, Frank, but and I don't know if I've had dreams about this because I've just heard about it, and it's in my subconscious brain, and I'm just thinking about all this stuff, like how come I'm tripping about why I'm on the planet and all this stuff. But my curiosity is if you've had any of your guides, or if you've been into any sessions recently that this has been spoken about. And can you speak to that? This is why I was going to bring it up earlier, is that people worry about with cryptocurrency and it being the coming of the artificial intelligence. I think the flash wipes out the AI. Yeah, me too.
So
that's
the
what
AI
I resonated with.
Going to go back in the box after the flash, but one of the things I try to, I'm not relying on the flash to occur, so right. I'm going for broke no matter what, because one of my purposes is to do that, right? It's just to push that envelope without breaking, though. Like, I'm not supposed to put it in the red, but I'm supposed to get it into the green, in the high green.
You're supposed to go for all, dude.
Into the red, right? Yeah.
Frank, you must go for all.
Well, they were like, if you go into red, you'll pop, right? You don't want to. All right, I've said this before. We go
into the yellow. We go yellow a little bit.
I've asked the energies, I'm like, come on, man, give me some of the knowledge to change so I could hold this energy. If I have to transform, I don't know what I have to do. Whatever, show me, so I can take the energy and use it to heal my cat. Right. So I said it about Squeak, and they let me. They were like, dude, just do it. So I was like, give it to me. Rah! And I'm like, I already have it. I am it. And my hands started, and I told Paula this, my hands turned bright white, both of them. It was like having two, it was more than a nuclear explosion. It was like galactic, whatever, the energies. And I couldn't hold it, and it was popping all over the place. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And they're like, that's all coming down the line. Right? And that stuff's going to burn out the AI, because the AI cannot.
Because you believed you could do it.
Because I believed I can push that envelope ahead. And I was like, wait a second here. Because I go through doubts and moments of that stuff too. Like, is this going to flash? Is this going to do? I'm like, hey, look, you could say what you want. I hugged one of the bird beings. I was with the avians. I was with these characters. I was with those characters. These guys were here. It is what it is at this point. I can't, every time I say to myself, well, that's probably not true. That's probably not going to happen. And I'm not really paying attention much to it. this giant smackdown occurs to me. Like, are you not paying attention, Frank? Are you not watching what's occurring right now? And I'm like, I don't even know what to do. Whoa. Right. So just like one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, I've seen very recently, just the other day, I was very sick and I kept blacking out. Right. I was fainting. Right. So, and this, I'll bring it back to the flash and everything. Right. So I'm laying there and I faint and I thought I died. I was like, "Dope, this is it. I'm going to die." And then I woke up, I was on Paula's back. Right. And then she got me into the house and then she like got me onto the couch. I was outside.
Paula.
It
Right.
was horrible. It was horrible, Joe.
Right. So she got me on the couch and I looked up and I took a deep breath and I was like happy to be alive and I fainted again. It was like I completely blacked out. In that moment, I saw not our reality, but like what's happening right in front of us that we can't see. I can't explain this except I felt like I was underwater.
Yep, the veil dropped.
Just a few inches, right? So I could look up and see the people on the other side of the water, but I don't know if that was water or energy, but I could see crystal clear. And these beings were working on me. And my body was laying down like I was in a sarcophagus. And I can see the sun in the background, what you would call the sun, the thing that gives information, was at the top of this dome. And I was like, what's happening? And this being just leans over me, and it was one of those grays. And all I saw was its eye at first, and then it pulled away from me. And I was like, wow, I didn't know what I was looking at. It was like pure blackness. And then as it backed off, I was like, oh, look, it's you. And then I felt hyper comfort, and it started sucking. And I say it like that because it was like a ring of energy, of blue energy coming from my forehead, or off my face, actually, back towards the ET, the being, and it was absorbing it into a spot in its forehead, like a small version of it. So it was almost like shooting smoke rings made of blue energy from my head back, and it was extracting information. And what I was watching, though, in the background was the light give me information, which was transforming into energy, which was really awkward to see, like that ball of whatever that is, right? And I think that is I don't know how we're doing this, man, but we're moving through an area that once this area we get into it, it's going to do something to the sun. The sun's going to flash. The energy and the information is going to change slightly, and so are we.
Okay, so I'm going to say that.
Because I was watching that happen as the ET was doing that to me. The light was giving me codes like bars of energy. Downloads, and that you could see like Atlantean writing on it and stuff and all different codes and just downloading into my face.
So let me ask you, I'm going to ask you something that I think will correlate with a ton of information from a bunch of different angles, because I think this is what you're saying and how it's explained from a more technical, universal point of view, is that the photon band, which you're going through, is high photonic energy, which is high vibrant light, extremely, which light is just information. So let's just clarify what I mean by when I say light. Like, you know, you hear these terms like, I am the light, I am the way. It's like, yeah, you're the all. You're the source of information that you seek. You are the thing. You're the information. You're in
the
formation.
Antenna that sucks in all that stuff.
Yeah, you're the thing. You are in formation. You are. Boom. Bam. Oh. Epiphany. Oh. Yeah. All right. Woo. Saturday night. Okay. So what you're saying is what I think that we have set up from a higher angle, since we are the source anyway, and there's no hierarchy when you know you're the source, is that we set up the loop, right? And on the edge of the loop, which is also the start of the loop, but since we're spiraling up, it shifts perspective as it spirals up. As it spirals up, you lose less and less programs. You see more and more that you're unbound by anything you think, and that you're perpetually recreating yourself with every moment.
As you spiral up, you get to visually see the obstacle or situation or whatever from multi-dimensional, directional angles that you were never able to see while you were in the circle.
Right. And so let's say technically what you're saying is occurring is you're showing this, and this is what I've heard from a lot of stuff I've trusted and triangulated, that we are going through the photon band. As we go through the photon band, which is talked about in every ancient philosophy, the big 26,000-year cycle, the zodiac completing itself, it does the one clock loop. Once it does the one clock loop, all that information or time that's occurred or experiment that has gone on with consciousness and the beings that we are and the DNA that we're processing, now we start operating from a different angle of that. We start actually going into what we call the fifth dimension, which sees all the levels and layers and densities that we were in before, transcends that, and says, okay, now we're going to operate from this angle of consciousness where we know we're ubiquitous. And we might, I believe that's occurring. I don't know why, and this is why we're friends, Frank, and we've talked about this ever since we hung out. I'm like, I don't know why I believe this, dude, but I do. And I won't tell many people this. But I fully believe I'm going to not die in this lifetime.
I was told so many times, and I asked questions like, I don't want to die. They're like, you're not going to die. You've already died 5 times since you've been here. And I'm like, well, okay, I get it. But I don't really want to go through a physical death again. I want to remain Frank and incorporate him into the great all. And they're like, well, you're not going anywhere, dude. And I go, no. I know what you guys are saying, but you guys still like to play tricks on my words because we use English and that's not good enough to explain this. So I literally, they're like, yo, you're not going to suffer a physical death in this lifetime. And I'm like, what? And I've been told that. I've been shown that. They've tried to beat that into my head over and over again. And multiple people, as you and me, and multiple others feel the same, that we're somehow going to incorporate what's here, stay as long as we want, because it's going to become different, more creative. It's going to become beautiful, more like the soaring 20s, right? And then onward and upward. And then when you're ready, you go on. But
okay, so and not to interrupt you, but I want to just say this because I'm so caught inside my head all the time. But here's something that, let's say, a part of me that is unbound by any of the beliefs that I run and try to compartmentalize creation tells itself. Now that I know that I'm immortal consciousness and form, which has nothing to do with religion or a belief system. I know I'm infinite. I'm just compartmentalized. Then the game has to change. Because there was a point when I didn't believe this or know this. I mean, I've left my body a few times, and when I got back in it, I was like, oh, dude, I'm so not bound to the quote-unquote lower rules of the physical nature. I'm actually the higher nature that has chose to participate in a lower perspective. So it's like, and I don't mean negative as lower. I just mean forgetfulness. Maybe that's a better way to say it. That doesn't sound like I'm judging something. But now that we know this, why would I have to go through the physical death again? I've done that hundreds or thousands of times. On
infinite times.
Worlds. Exactly, on different worlds and whatever. So now that this part of me is like remembering that that it is the thing that chose to incarnate in the first place, then the game must change because now I've changed my own perspective. So even when I disincarnate or leave the body, I'm going to be like, well, what's the deal now, dude? I'm not doing anything. What's going on? You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
What's up now? I know this is an illusion.
That photon
what
band
are you doing?
That photon band is filled with packets of information, right? More packets than we can squeeze into the third density, right? So you're going to be blasted with uber packs of information, which is just light coming out of, the central sun and the sun around us, which is going to cause the sun to change. It's going to create transformations of all kinds. I think it's going to come out in creativity. I think it's going to come out in great things and technologies that maybe become tools and not become attachments to the human body so that we can become the organic, raw consciousness. Josh, thank you so much for...
I love you guys. Happy Saturday.
Saturday.
Love you, Josh.
Paula,
love you guys.
It's always wonderful to have you sitting to my right as you're translating everything
Thank you,
that comes out of my mouth.
Thank you.
All right, we love you. We are your protection from deception. Stick around.
Yeah.